Bro, let me tell you something, bro. Bro, you want to know what really draws in wrestling, bro? It's storylines, bro. It isn't wrestling, bro. Bro, it's the storylines. That's how you draw your second million, bro. Check this out.
The casual television viewers, the millions and millions of people that were tuning in every week and weren't necessarily wrestling fans, because those people loved the entertainment aspect. I'm an entertainment guy, bro. I'm not a match guy. I never was a match guy, even when I was a fan growing up. Yeah. I love the entertainment aspect. And I knew, bro, if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to watch this show as long as wrestling is in the marquee. We've got to get the casual fans who wouldn't watch a wrestling show. So, bro, we did that through entertainment. Well, bro, now the loud minority are the wrestling marks and the dirt sheets. And what do the wrestling marks and the dirt sheets hate? They hate entertainment. Bro, somewhere along the lines, this niche audience, bro, I swear to you, they've convinced themselves that wrestling is real. And these matches are real, and these matches should be 20 or 30 minutes, and these guys should be putting their lives on the line. They've convinced them. I'm the complete opposite, bro. I'm an entertainment guy. A couple of things are going to happen if you lean on the side of entertainment. First of all, you're going to grow your audience tremendously. But second of all, bro, what you're going to do is you're going to prolong the careers of these guys. The less they have to do in the ring, killing themselves, the longer and longer they can make money in the business. Bro, to me, it's common sense.
Chris Van Vliet, man, what an interview with Vince Russo. He even asked Russo straight up. He's like, man, you do say bro a lot. Like a lot. Well, what's up with that? Bro, why are you saying bro so much? And Russo acknowledged it. He's like, yeah, I know. It's the thing I say. And he blamed it on being in wrestling. You know, he never called anybody bro until I got out of wrestling. Then everybody was a bro. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But Russo's always fun to listen to. I don't really have the heart to listen to his podcast all the time. I think he gets a little too negative for my blood. But damned if he isn't a character to listen to. He's a strong-willed, strong-minded, opinionated, never for a loss of words as Vince Russo. Had a really good in-depth interview with Chris Van Vliet on the Insight podcast this week, talking all about his career. He's talked about it before. I'm sure you've heard it before, about how he got his start from his video store closing to because of Blockbuster, to writing for the WWF magazine, to putting his balls on the table and Vince getting mad at him, and then Vince turning around and saying that this is the direction we need to go, and fucking that whole story. But it's always fun to listen to that story, listen to the old timers. Russo's 60 now. It's crazy to think about that kind of shit. It makes me fear for my age, because someday I'm going to be fucking 60 before I even know it. Because, damn, Vince Russo is 60. Like, you don't think of a guy like that as 60. Still, to this day, you don't. But, you listen to the old timers kind of tell their stories. And Russo is very opinionated on what he feels wrestling should be and what draws. And it's the age-old question. Because everybody hates Vince Russo. Everybody criticizes Vince Russo. Everybody says he's a fucking idiot because everybody says it. Everybody buries him in shoot interviews. And most of the marks on the internet will just listen to all these shoot interviews and kind of think they know everything just by listening to all this stuff. But stop and consider the He's not entirely wrong. I'm not a fan of his tits and ass, shock TV, balls to the wall every segment style necessarily. I don't think, I'm not a huge Attitude Era mark like a lot of people are. I don't consider that to be the greatest era in wrestling. I'm a old school 80s, late 80s, early 90s mark. That's my shit. The Hulkamania era. But there is something to be said by what he always claims, that wrestling fans will always watch wrestling. And those are the people that want the epic wrestling matches. Those are the people that like the wrestling competition. Half of those people went away to become UFC fans because that shit is real. And that's what they liked about it. They like the tough guys beating each other up, and they got it through wrestling until UFC was a thing. And then they're like, you know what? I like the real thing a little bit better. But there were people that liked it for the dramatic storylines. There were crazy storylines in the Attitude Era. Not all of them were good, but a lot of them were very fun and just interesting. And even if the stories themselves were not appropriate necessarily, like the chicks being nude all the time. I mean, hey, I'm a guy and all, but obviously that's not an appropriate way to present a product. But he was very specific. You write your segments. You start the show with setting up what's going to happen at the end of the show. You set your hook for the whole show. Then you tease it throughout the show. You have your middle of the show segment or a couple segments backstage building up to the main event. You have your thread that goes on through the whole show. Then you fill it in with your B plot and your C plot. And he took pride in every wrestler that was on the roster, that was on the show, had a storyline. If you were on the show, you had some kind of story, whether it was good or not. You had a story. And people will say, oh, the Attitude Era was only a success because Vince Russo had the filter of Vince McMahon. Well, Vince Russo didn't have any success without Vince McMahon anywhere else. He didn't have it in TNA. He didn't have it in WCW. But Vince McMahon didn't have the same success after Vince Russo either. His product went down year after year after year after year. It was never more, wrestling was never more popular than it was in that Attitude Era. And it was because of the NWO. It was because of Stone Cold Steve Austin in the WWF Attitude Era. And it was because of the Monday Night War rivalry. That's what made it all so hot. And Vince Russo was right there writing it every single week. Before Vince Russo took over, when Vince Russo was just writing the magazine, wrestling was characters. People forget in the early 90s to the 94s, the 95s, the 93s. These were goofy. It was still cartoony. It was still trying to be what it was in the 80s, and it didn't work anymore because you didn't have those kind of characters, and society was changing. It was starting to grow an edge. Vince Russo, as soon as Vince Russo joined the writing team, that's when WWF started to blow up. Sure, they had the perfect storm of stars because that was the same time they had Stone Cold Steve Austin. They had The Rock at the same time. They had Mankind, The Undertaker. I get it. They had the cast of characters to carry the show. But Vince Russo, you can't deny, was the head of creative. He was the one and only writer for that show at that time during WWF's biggest peak ever. And he's trying to say that entertainment is the way to go. That wrestling matches are not going to draw in AEW their second million. Appealing to the wrestling fan, what we have right now, the very bare bones, bare minimum viewership that wrestling has right now, that's the wrestling fan base. Those are the diehards that Vince talks about. And everybody else above that was a casual fan. Everybody else above that was somebody that might watch if it was interesting or could be sucked into it at some point in time. He's not wrong, but everybody gives him shit because everybody like a Cornette and a Bischoff and everybody and their mom, Bruce Pritchard, all of them, they all bury Vince Russo. I think a lot of his shit was trash and garbage, and he might have been an eccentric, hard to get along with guy, but I think at the end of the day, he contributed to the wrestling business in a way that most people can never say that they did. Go check out that interview with Chris Van Vliet on the Insight podcast on both podcast and YouTube. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.